Harini et Marayi Hashmini et Kole Harini et Marayi Hashmini et Kole Kikole Kare Rumarek Nava Kikole Kare Rumarek Nava Harini et Marayi Hashmini et Kole Harini et Marayi Hashmini et Kole Kikole Kare Umarek Nava Kikole Kare Umarek Nava Harini Harini et Marayi Hashmini Hashmini et Kole Harini Harini et Marayi Hashmini Hashmini et Kole Kikole Kare Umarek Nava Kikole Kare Umarek Nava.
Very nice.
So welcome friends to this Kzoom.
We
So-
really heard you chanting as well in the quantum field. You were right there.
So might want to just, as we begin, just take a look around the Zoom room to see who you are blessing with your intention, your presence, your practice.
Hey. Oh, sweet faces. Oh, yeah. Michael.
Oh, Michael.
Macaron.
Yeah. So I just want to just to look around, set our intention together. We have someone from Argentina, someone from Australia.
Yeah. They're right next to each other on our street.
The Southern Hemisphere is represented.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is a special Kzoom where I want to honor the legacy of Reb Zalman Schechter Shalomi, whose English Yortzeit, 6 years?
6 years ago.
6 years
Yeah,
ago.
2014.
And
That's Reb Zalman. Blessed memory. What a good man.
So I wanted to do some practice in his honor, and really, there is this tension between mysticism and religion, between the esoteric, the inner teachings, and the exoteric, the outer forms of religion. And the way that I see this kind of emerging is that there are those who have a direct encounter with the divine mystery, and they, in that place of realization, they draw to them other followers that said, oh yeah, I want whatever she
She's
ordered.
having.
Yeah,
I want
whatever
what.
she's having, I want that too, you know. And so and there, you know, and then after a while, something kind of devolves, and we're left with the kind of the empty form without the experience inside of it. And then religion sort of takes over, and those forms take over, and and they even kind of sort of shunt the mystics off to the edge and say that, yeah, those are the marginal people, but actually that's where it starts. That's where a religious expression is born. And so it's always felt kind of tragic to me, kind of like, and I carry this tension in me because I had the strange guidance to become a rabbi, you know, which is like going right into the heart of
The belly
what
of the beast.
religion. I'm in the religion business, let's just say. And yet it so often goes sort of counter to something that is really deep inside me, which is this yearning for direct experience, and knowing that that's what I live for. That's the purpose of my life, and everything else comes out of that. So I remember hearing this story that everybody loved, this story about, and it started like with maybe like the Baal Shem Tov, and I don't know if I'm going to tell the story right because I hate this story, but the story, this is the story. The story is that the Baal Shem Tov, like there was going to be this terrible thing that's going to happen to the Jews, and so then the Baal Shem Tov, he went into the forest. He knew exactly the place in the forest, and he built a fire, a special kind of fire. He knew exactly what kind of fire to build, and he said these certain words, and he knew exactly what words needed to be said, and the tragedy was averted. And then the next generation, like, they forgot where in the forest to go. And so they like, okay, they went out in the backyard, they built a fire, they said the words, and the crisis was averted. And then the next generation, um, they they forgot about the fire. But they remembered some words, so they said those words, and the crisis was averted. And then the generation after that, they didn't even remember the words. They didn't remember the place in the forest. They didn't remember the how to make the fire. They didn't remember the words to say, but they told the story, and that was enough. Ah, and I said, bullshit. That's not enough. It wasn't. It wasn't enough for me, and it's kind of the Judaism that I inherited was the one that said it's enough to talk about it. It's enough to tell the story, and God loves a story. And that's all we need, really. Let's just talk about things. And, I, in my own spiritual search, I really left the synagogue looking for others who also had a yearning for a direct experience. And I found those others, in the Sufi community, in the practice of Native American sweat lodge and vision quest, and like went to other traditions that just seemed to, like I could have some connection with, of saying, yes, let's actually go to the forest, let's build the fire, let's get our feet dirty, let's do that. And so when I was guided back to Judaism, I had already had these experiences, and I just said I don't want to settle for less than direct experience. And for me, Reb Zalman and the Jewish Renewal Movement really is what opened the door for me, that I could be that person that I am in relationship with the mystery, with the doing of it, and and I didn't have to just talk about it, which was just so not nourishing for me, and not nothing that could compel me to stay on that path. And instead, from Reb Zalman, I really felt like permission to actually do it. So I remember I went to the Reconstructionist Rabbinical College, and Toba, you can probably relate to this. That I went to RRC, the Reconstructionist Rabbinical College. One of the reasons is because Reb Zalman and Arthur Wasco were teaching there, and I thought, wow, okay, I'm going there. As soon as I got there, they were both fired.
Didn't bode well.
But Rabbi Art Green, who was just a genius, and I felt like he 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 was the president of the college, and so I took Kabbalah with Rabbi Art Green, and and I remember one day sitting in his Kabbalah class, and and we were talking about stuff, and suddenly I had a little bit of an outburst. I said,
Just a little.
I said, I said, I don't want to talk about it. I want to do Kabbalah. I don't want to talk about Kabbalah. I don't want to learn about Kabbalah. I want to do it. And he looked me straight in the eye and he said, we don't do Kabbalah. We talk about Kabbalah. It's not, and anybody who actually does Kabbalah is not taken seriously. The way to be taken seriously as a rabbi is to talk about it and to learn about it. But I think I definitely received some Kabbalah through him, as even in spite of himself.
Yeah.
So so this idea of not settling, I felt like Reb Zalman gave me kind of a model of someone who was willing to take the risk, to go for it, and I went for it in my own way, and but I felt like that it was it was permission. It was permission through his very being that that he lived it. He lived that sense of passionate involvement. He would go out to the woods. He would start the fire, and that's what I needed in order to be on a Jewish path. So this practice that I was inspired to create this week, I call it true faith. And I want to chant those words that we were just chanting from the Song of Songs. And I'll just say one other thing about Rabbi Art Green was that one time I bumped into him at an Ohala conference, a conference of rabbis, and I overheard him talking to someone else, and he said, well, I am a Shir HaShirim Jew, a Song of Songs Jew. That's what kind of Jew I am. And I said, oh my God, I am too.
So Art Green saw the light at long last.
I think he always knew the light. He just wasn't allowed to
Yeah.
give that light in the Reconstructionist Rabbinical School.
Yeah.
So to be a Song of Songs Jew is to be able to take off the masks, to look for the true face of reality. And this world of, when we are just live in a world of materialists say, this is it, this is all there is. Take it or leave it, kind of, this is it, And you can fix it, you can do something to it, but this is what it is. And the mystic looks underneath that mask and sees that it is the surface of a much greater reality. And through the presence of that awareness, that reality begins to shine through this world. So I write in my kavanah, my intention for this chant, because I want to do it some more with you, really as our practice in honor of Reb Zalman. I say, so the words, what the words mean is, let me see who you really are. Let me hear your voice, for your voice is sweet and your face is radiant.
Mm-hmm.
So the normal way of being is to live inside our thoughts about the world, to tell the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
We see what we expect to see. We're busy trying to figure out how to use this world or protect ourselves from it. We are identifying threats or allies. We are, I forgot, we are comparing and categorizing. We are planning our next step. When those thoughts quiet down or cease being the focus of our attention, suddenly the world appears. Surprisingly, it is more bright and beautiful and radiant than anything we could have imagined. Colors delight. Our curiosity is kindled. We can engage with what is before us and receive its gift, enjoying both the blessing and the challenge of this world. When we are paying attention and can become receptive, God's true face appears as this world. In a moment of inner stillness, we can relax, enjoy, and open as the sounds of this world become music. So I'm going to chant those words again. And bring in an intention to say, I don't want to settle for the surface of things. I want to step into that, to find the place in the forest. I want to build the fire. I want to channel those magic words. And when it comes time in our prayers, on Yom Kippur, to say the Avodah service, I want to be the high priest. I don't want to talk about something that happened a long time ago. I want to enact that ritual of purification. So show me your true face. Harini et Marayi Hashmini et Koleh Harini et Marayi Hashmini et Koleh Ki Koleh Kareh Umarek Nava Ki Koleh Kareh Umarek Nava Harini et Marayi Hashmini et Koleh Harini et Marayi Hashmini et Koleh Ki Koleh Kareh Umarek Nava Ki Koleh Kareh Umarek Nava Harini et Marayi Hashmini et Koleh Harini
Kikole kare, umarek nava. Kikole kare, umarek nava. Harini, et marai, Hashmini, et kole. Harini, et marai, Hashmini, et kole. Kikole kare, umarek nava. Kikole kare, umarek nava. Harini, et marai, Hashmini, et kole. Harini, et marai, Hashmini, et kole. Kikole kare, umarek nava. Kikole kare, umarek nava.
So let these words, these magic words, send us to that sweetness. So the place that we go in order to open up to direct experience is the place of inner stillness. It's like taking all of the movement of life and letting it send us to that place of inner stillness. And the way that Reb Zalman describes that place, I think he says, my entire life and everything I do are nothing but God guiding God's self as Zalman. God guiding God's self as Zalman. The best thing I can do then is to make my life a good ride for God, to consciously devote my actions to that purpose. So I think it means kind of showing up in the fullness of presence, but not just filled with, whatever the mind just happens to bring, but making room for God to God
Through.
through through this channel. And so I chose this practice, sitting in the secret of the highest, because I think that's the place, the secret of the highest. That when I'm sitting in the secret of the highest, I'm allowing God to God's self as me, allowing that to happen, and I'm sitting there, and when I do that, I can abide in the shade of Shaddai, that place of protection, safety, nurturance. But I have to, to keep returning there, because the world pulls me out with its busyness, and so my practice is, if I want to see that true face, I need to go to clear away some of the sort of the content, really the content of mind and the schmutz and the drama. I just want to clear it away and enter in to that place where God is God. God is guiding God's self through me. That's the secret. That's the secret. So let's chant this and see if we can sort of go there into that secret place. It feels like, and then we can come out and live from there. And from there, life is transformed. And we become agents of that transformation. Yoshe, the sainted Elyon, B'Tselem Shaddai, Yitlona, Yoshe, the sainted Elyon, B'Tselem Shaddai, Yitlona, Yamashem, the Satan Elyon, B'Tselem Shaddai, Yitlona, Yamashem, the Satan Elyon, B'Tselem Shaddai, Yitlona, Yoshem, B'Seitel 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 Elyon, B'Tselem Shaddai, Yitlona,
בסתר עליון, בצל שדי תונה, יושב בסתר עליון, בצל שדי תונה.
Last time.
יושב בסתר עליון, בצל שדי יתלונה. יושב בסתר עליון, בצל שדי יתלונה. יושב בסתר עליון, בצל שדי יתלונה. יושב בסתר עליון, בצל שדי יתלונה.
And let these magic words take you to the secret. A secret place. A secret place in the forest. And to do Kabbalah and not just talk about it means to become receptive to the divine flow. And as one of my teachers, Joel Goldsmith says, you can't settle for yesterday's manna. And the manna is falling right today. And we need to gather it in to become receptive. And anything that is saved over from last week or last year or last hundreds of years is not the true, it's not the living God. And it's kind of like passion that Reb Zalman had really kind of gave me permission to be in the place of yearning that would fuel my prayer. And just read you something that he says about prayer, which, and prayer is really, he says, true prayer is a bursting forth of the soul to God. What can be more natural and more human than turning to God's listening presence with our thanks and our burdens? Prayer is one of the simplest and easiest of practices. It's always right there, the act of speaking directly to God, of opening our hearts to God's response, is one of the ultimate mystical experiences. Like great art and great music, prayer brings out the poetry of soul. Some of our most beautiful writings can be found in the pages of prayer. Without true prayer, on the other hand, a very deep yearning that we have goes unanswered. We try to satisfy that hunger for God in other ways. We mistake the yearnings of soul for the cravings of body. We feed them with food and drink, drugs and sex, money and power, but these things just inflame our appetites further. We might seek higher things, intellectual pursuits or artistic accomplishments. even these do not touch us in that loneliest of places, the place that longs to be filled with God. That's why prayer to me is not a luxury, but a necessity, a safeguard for our survival and our sanity. So this idea of yearning is as a pathway, that there's an energy of yearning, and sometimes we misunderstand that energy of yearning as there's something we don't have, and so we're yearning for it. But in actuality, the yearning itself is what feeds us, is what moves us. It's like God is in that yearning itself. And it's a yearning not for ideas, but for experience, direct experience.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it's the only way.
So
Experience it.
I want to do this practice, the encountering the living God. Sam'a nafshi l'Elohim l'el chai. So my soul is yearning for God, but not just an idea of God. My soul is yearning for the living God, and for that living God to live inside me and through me. So, but I really like that, that Reb Zalman pointed out that sometimes that yearning gets detoured, gets covered up, and becomes something else. And it's really important to unmask that, that we have a yearning, and then it gets twisted somehow in us. And we think maybe this will feed that yearning. And when it doesn't, we just, we might just want more. And that's what addiction is about, and obsession and kind of like it's a misdirection of our yearning. And if we would only turn our yearning towards the living God who can only exist in this very moment. And so we have to show up in our yearning and feel that the yearning itself is the God force that moves us to the truth of who we are. So I want to chant these words. Tzam'a nafshi. And see if we can unlock something of that yearning inside us. Tzam'a nafshi. Tzam'a nafshi. L'Elohim l'el chai. 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 Tzam'a nafshi. לאלוהים אלוהי צמאה נפשי 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 לאלוהים אלוהי. Sometimes I feel like in response to that energy of yearning, God shows God's face as this world, and there's a feeling of being addressed, that I am being spoken to, not in words, but in life, and it's uncanny sometimes when that happens. So I was just going to tell you a story of something happened today. And
You never know.
just never know. So we went to Los Alamos to go shopping and
The farmer's market.
in farmers markets. Pretty safe around here. Everybody in New Mexico wears masks, and we decided to sit on a patio of a restaurant and have lunch. And I walked into the bathroom, and I really felt this sense. I mean, I don't know why this should happen to me in a bathroom, but the sense that God was addressing me, through this world, and it really just kind of filled myself with that sense. But it brought tears to my eyes, and I went, and I think part of it is feeling like, oh, if we talk to God, that's okay, but if God talks to us, people are going to think we're crazy, right? So, but that was what it felt like. I was being addressed. And I came down to the patio, and I sat with Rachmel. I took off my mask, and I cried a little bit, and then
Not talking about God. You
yeah,
just wanted to talk
just
about
wanted
God.
to talk about God, and then the waiter came over, and he introduced himself. He said, "I'm Isaiah."
This young man, young Hispanic man. I'm
Right,
Isaiah.
I'm Isaiah. I said, "Oh, okay," and then we gave our order, and then walking on the street, there's another man, a Native American man, stopped, and he had a whole tray of
Breads.
bread.
I said, I'm gluten-free. I'm sorry.
I said, he had a tray of bread, and he was asking he wanted to sell this bread for, and he started talking about the community that he was a part of, that that lets God heal their addictions. And he started talking to me about God. I mean, walking by, he started talking to me about God healing his addictions and the addictions of his community. So I took out some money and I gave it to him, and I sat down again and I thought,
Here it is.
something's happening here. The world, God is speaking to me through everyone, through Isaiah, through this, this man with a tray filled with, it was almost like the bread from the temple, that was there, and
It's this halfway house that they live in, and so we
yeah.
were supporting
So
them.
anyway, it was just to me, whenever I'm when synchronicities happen like that, I'm feeling something inside, and then suddenly it's coming at me from the world, and maybe it's always coming at me, but I don't notice it, and so today I noticed, and I felt so blessed that I was going to be Kzooming with you, filled with this sense of that when I address myself to God, then God addresses God's self to me in so many different mysterious ways. Uh, so I wanted to end with this practice that's called taking refuge in you, and it says. Um, It says, "You pour out your grace to me, God, when my soul takes refuge in you." And I think that's been my experience, is when I can do that, when I can give myself, even even risking a little bit of my insanity, I give myself totally to that mystery, then there's a sense of grace that is flowing through me in this world. And so I wanted to end with this practice. Let's see. Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni. Oh, Kilecha, Chasaya Nafshi, Kilecha, Chasaya Nafshi. Oh, Kilecha, Chasaya Nafshi, Kilecha, Chasaya Nafshi. Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni. Oh, Kilecha, Chasaya Nafshi, Kilecha, Chasaya Nafshi. Oh, Kilecha, Chasaya Nafshi, Kilecha, Chasaya Nafshi. Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni. Oh, Kilecha, Chasaya Nafshi, Kilecha, Chasaya Nafshi. nafshi, Kivata, Kasaya nafshi, Kivata, Kasaya nafshi, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, oh Kivata, Kasaya nafshi, Kivata, Kasaya nafshi, oh Kivata, Kasaya nafshi, Kivata, Kasaya nafshi, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, oh Kivata, Kasaya nafshi, Kivata, Kasaya nafshi, oh Kivata, Kasaya nafshi, Kivata, Kasaya nafshi, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, Haneni Elohim, Haneni, oh Kivata, Kasaya nafshi, Kivata, Kasaya nafshi, oh Kivata, Kasaya nafshi, Kivata, Kasaya nafshi. So we thank the spirit of Reb Zalman for being with us tonight, inspiring us, giving us permission to be intense and true and go for it. I have
Yeah.
this other one too.
Yeah.
Let's see. This was the-
What a guy. What a guy.
So may his memory be a blessing. I'm going to